Welcome, everybody, to PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am Tats. I am here with Rob and Donald, and the Yankees have won 10. Yeah, 10 in a row. And they got as many wins as Yogi's got rings. And it's just fun. It's fun because they're playing competitive baseball. Even if the games don't seem like they're going the Yankees' way, they're figuring it out. They're making, in-game adjustments. So credit to Boone on that. His management of the bullpen so far has really been pretty much flawless. We're questioning why he's bringing in certain people, but the way that he's been managing really has set these guys up for success. And I don't know what got into him. I was joking around with somebody I work with. I'm like, yeah, that's because, his replacement is the third base coach. Because if he can't figure it out, Luis Rojas will step right in. But jokes aside, Boone has really been managing very well. The lineup construction, the bullpen management. At first you're like, why is he bringing the Wise again so early in yesterday's game? And it was because of where they were in their lineup.
It was a smart move, actually.
He's not married to pitching certain people in certain innings. If it's the heart of the lineup, he's going with the stronger guys in his bullpen. The bottom of the lineup, he's not going to the guy. He's just going to a guy, when he brought in, Castro. Castro, he had a couple of hiccups, but he battled through it, because the pitchers can trust the defense that's being put out there. So they don't have to worry about being so pinpoint. Montgomery had another no run support game. I was hoping he would, it seems like 2 runs, that's what he's getting. So, but it was just last night to get their 10th win, it was such a battle. And there was one pivotal moment in the game where you had Stanton get the base hit, and then knowing, okay, even at that point in the game where the tides can still turn, where you might want to have another at bat with Stanton in a big spot, he used he stayed with his, what's been working for him, which is pinch running with Castro. Castro steals the base, and that was the moment of the game where it really turned everything around. Because Torres had another RBI, so he had all 3 runs. He drove in all 3 runs in the game last night. So Torres was another key factor in the game. It's just everything is clicking, and it's just everything is perfect in the Bronx right now. It can't get any better than this. How are you guys feeling about how yesterday's game went?
Gleyber, man, I'm happy to see it. I didn't want to lose faith in the guy because I knew there was still a lot of talent there. And he got off to a really slow start, but over this winning streak, really going back to the Cleveland series, he's been one of our better hitters. So it's great to see. And it's not the power, he's not hitting home runs. He's got a few, but he's going opposite field. He's elevating the ball. That's what I want to see from him. Line drive hits, slicing it the other way. He did everything yesterday for us. He played good defensively. He hit the home run. He had the game-winning RBI. I mean, that was just what you want to see from Gleyber. He's still got that pop, and he's got the ability to take it the other way and get that runner in. And like you said, Boone's managing is like otherworldly right now. Like it's so weird because we watched 4 years of him just not knowing what he was doing, and now he's managing. It's weird because he's like, you're looking at him last 4 years, you're like, well, who is this guy? How did he get the job? And now you're seeing him and you're like, that's a manager. And it's something we talked about last week where, Donald brought it up. It had to have been part of the negotiations. Like, you got to let me manage if I'm going to come back for this new deal. And I think that they took some of the strings off. He's still got some of those puppeteer answers, but he's managing and he's showing he's got that baseball knowledge we always knew he had because of where he comes from, his family, but he's managing. He's just being smart, bringing in guys at certain times. Clay Holmes coming in to get Castro out of that jam, that was huge. The double plays that the defense was getting him. Stanton with a leaping catch in the first or second inning to get a big out there. I mean, everybody's contributing in some sort of way. Even when the bats weren't there, the defense was and the bullpen was. Monty's been great. And we keep saying it. You want to – maybe it's a little too early to say the Yankees are peaking, because I don't think that's the case. But it's a lot better than the alternative of them being 500 right now. You know, we're 11 games over, first place, 10-game win streak. It's beautiful. And I just want them to keep going. Even if they don't sweep, just win series, keep the good vibes going, because you can't win it in April, but you can certainly lose it in April. And now we're in May. Keep that good streak going and keep the positive vibes rolling.
Yep. Donald?
So, agreed on Boone. I was saying that even before the game started, I was like, this is a different Boone than I'm used to seeing here. He's managing the game. Obviously, a few things I would have done differently. I wouldn't have put in Castro to start the seventh inning because of his penchant for walks. He does have good numbers, but he walks a little bit too much. So I was hesitant to put him in that spot. I would have just given Clay Holmes a clean inning. I think that probably would have been a smarter call, but Clay Holmes bailed him out. So that was fine. I was really pleased with his move to put in Loaiza in the sixth inning, because that was the key. It was a 2-2 game. Monty was struggling at that point, and Loaiza comes in. And that's the thing about modern baseball now. You don't have guys just set for strict, like, eighth inning, seventh inning. You want your best reliever to come in when the game is most important. And at that point, the sixth inning, the game was on the line at that point. Toronto's tails were up. They were starting to get really good contact on the ball.
Yeah.
They were starting to hit Montgomery. Eliza comes in and saves the day. And that's where you want your best reliever to come in. Doesn't matter when it is, whether it's the sixth, seventh, or eighth inning, doesn't matter. That's when you want to put your best reliever in. So Loaiza really was so important to that win for me. Then Clay Holmes was terrific. Very surprised, obviously, they put in Chad Green in the ninth, but obviously they didn't want Chapman to pitch 3 days in a row. So fair enough. And Chad Green actually pitched really well. So it worked out well. But the best thing about Aaron Boone's management yesterday was the fact he was having guys steal bases. He wasn't just settling for home runs, which we did for 2 years now, at least minimum, probably 4 years now, where they just sat and waited for home runs to come. But they're not waiting now. They're using a little bit of urgency. You saw DJ LeMahieu steal base. You saw Aaron Judge steal a base. And then you saw really quick to put in LaCastro after Stanton's excellent hit, extended his hitting streak up to 7 games, I believe. And then LaCastro, who's just basically now just a steal machine. He's always looking to steal, and I love that about him. And that's what's been missing from our lineup for a long time. And the way that we've been managing for a long time is that in tight games, instead of just waiting for a home run, try and create something. Create a little bit of uneasiness for the opposition. And by LaCastro stealing the base, I think it caused a little bit of problem within Toronto. And then the big man Torres hits the other way. And as I say, the key to Gleyber Torres, if you know that he's hitting well, is when he's hitting to right center. Yeah. That means that he's going the other way. When he's centering the ball, he's got a good, strong level swing through the zone. And that's what he's doing right now. He's not pulling the ball. He's seeing the ball very, very well. And Gleyber, this is a different Gleyber Torres. He's back to the Gleyber Torres that offensively that we all knew and loved. So it's all good, man. There's some really good things happening.
He's playing right now. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been complaining that we haven't had. The defense still needs a lot. Needs work. But it's not even a factor when you really start peeling it back.
He's been okay a second. He's been fine.
But he's not LeMahieu, but he's doing fine. I think he's starting to relax a little bit more and get back into his comfort zone of what got him here.
I think we're starting to see what our strongest lineup is. And for me, it's Judge in center, And then Torres at DH and LeMahieu second base. I think that's probably our strongest lineup right now, and Aaron Hicks on the bench. But credit to Stanton, man. That was a hell of a play right there. That was one of the keys to the win. That early on in that game, making that huge catch at the wall, it was a tough play that only really good right fielders make.
No, it just he's an athlete. And that's athleticism. And that's also an instinct for the game. You can't practice stuff like that. That comes to you. That's natural. And this is why that play yesterday is why we were complaining so much of why they were using him only as a DH. He when he won the MVP, it was in the National League. There was no DH then. He was doing it also contributing on the field. And they kind of, everybody didn't want to accept that is how I'm going to word it. But we always said, and we saw it at the end of the season last year, once he was getting more consistent play time in the field, his hitting followed and it started to improve. You got to, when they're staying loose, they're becoming more contributors than just somebody in the lineup. And that's also why it started. You're seeing that it's working with the rotating infield and DH. We were trying to figure out, all right, how is this going to work? Well, it's working right now. And if it's not broken, don't fix it. But get a plan ready, because you don't know what's gonna, how it's gonna keep. Eventually they're gonna figure it out. You saw on Falefa's hit. The Blue Jays misplayed the ball, and he was tearing ass. He lost his footing between second and third, but it was almost like it was like, oh shit, he's running. He
would have gone a triple from a single.
He would have,
essentially, just with a slight misplay. It wasn't even a dramatic misplay, just a slight misplay barehanded, and
but you could also
see on
the throw back when they did get the ball and throw back into the infield. That throw was way offline, because this, seeing this, the Yankees have speed on the bases is something that teams haven't seen in a while.
He also showed off his range at short. He really showed a lot of range at short last night, making some tough plays. But yeah, you're all about that speed, man. That little bit of speed at the bottom of the order, where he almost turned a triple from a single and but still got a double out of essentially a single. It's still such a difference, because we're now taking the extra base now, and it does look like there's actually coaching going on. It looks like there's actual coaching going on. I overheard David Cohn in the telecast saying that they've been working with Tim Locastro for how to steal bags better, and even getting better secondary leads, these kind of things like that. They were working with him before the game, and that's good to hear, man. That's all I want to hear. I want to hear the coaches really working. I don't think the coaching staff last year did anything, because it was quite apparent that they weren't doing anything, judging by the amount of misplays that we were making. But this is a different situation this year. Guys are playing harder. Management's better. The coaching's better, and the roster seems to be working. I mean, that was actually a smart call, having Locastro in this roster. When we first signed him, I was like, what are we doing? Oh my God, this guy is actually really important. You got someone with that kind of speed that can steal bases every single time he's on base is such a difference. And that's going to win us some games down the line. Already won us a game last night.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, speed kills. It's different. We've seen it before work for us. Go back to as recently as 2009, when we won the championship. We didn't have a ton of speed, but we had it. Our best runners were Jeter and Damon. And we even had some speed at the bottom of the order with Melky. So you need speed in some capacity. And we have guys that aren't, the fastest runners, but they aren't slow either. Aaron Judge runs very well for a guy his size.
Yeah.
Gleyber Torres' speed is actually kind of underrated, because he was our best base stealer last year. And and they just don't use it. They didn't use it. And now we're starting to see them use it a little bit more because they know they can't rely on the home run ball all the time. Even though I think we lead the league in home runs right now, you still can't rely on it every single day to win, because we saw yesterday the bats were pretty much neutralized by Toronto's pitching until Gleyber Torres came up. And I'll say one thing, that if there was one negative, that Aaron Hicks just cannot hit with runners on base. Not just runners in the scoring position, but guys on base. The guy just cannot hit. It seems like every time somebody's on base, he's popping up. And I think he's just trying to be a hero, and he maybe needs to simplify his approach, because he's hitting the ball pretty well this year when the bases are empty. But when there's guys on base, it's like he's trying to take it 500 feet down the right field line or something. That's what it seems like he's doing, because he's over swinging when there's guys on base.
Yeah, he hasn't committed to the new theory yet. He's still thinking from last year.
With that uppercut swing.
Yeah. It's like watch what everybody else is doing. It's working for them. If your approach is broken, fix it. Theirs is fine. So exactly.
There's a lot of things about Aaron Hicks that's broken.
Yeah.
The games where he's not playing are days that I'm really happy. So let's leave it at that. What did you guys think of Montgomery?
Montgomery's Montgomery. He's still. I have no issues with him. He's not going to be, that lights out pitcher, but he's going to leave the game with the game in hand.
Right.
He's not going to pitch. We haven't seen it. He's not getting lit up. Yesterday he was getting hit hard, but that was later in the game. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, with the win streak, well, look at the teams that he was pitching against. He should have been winning those games, and the team overall. But the fact that we were able to take a win last night against a team that was supposed to be better than us, according to all the media outlets, they were supposed to run right over us. And it seems that this team when the players are sticking to what's working for them and their craft, they're performing well. They're backing it up. They're walking the walk. So Montgomery's not a problem. I never thought he was. I've always been, had his back, but I thought, he was, when you look at who we were facing in that lineup, they were going to make contact on his pitches. He doesn't have the velocity. He's more of a movement pitcher. And so they were going to make contact. So the fact that he was able to limit that lineup, speaks about how confident he is in what he can do for this team.
5 innings, 2 runs, pretty good. Rob?
No, he was fine. Look, you'd like to get more length out of him, sure. That's the bottom line, is we need more length out of our starters. We can't keep relying on them getting 5 and then the bullpen saving us every single night. At some point, and I think you're going to see Boone let them go longer into games now that we are hitting May and eventually into June. But against a team like that, where you were seeing him kind of labor towards the later innings that he was pitching and they were getting better contact, it made sense to take him out when you did. But the fact that you got 5, and that's really what he's going to give you, is, like you said, Tats, keep you in the game. That's what you need from him. That's what you need from any starter. Yeah. Our rotation is an ace, and then to me, 4 good starters. Severino is coming back from it, the multiple injuries. So hopefully when he's a fully healthy Sevy again, he's back to being that like 1B behind Cole. But really, you're not going to get a lot of length out of our starting pitching, which is why the bullpen management is so important. But if Monty's giving you 6, maybe 7 a night when the season does get into those later months, you're going to take it, because that's what he was last year for us. He was keeping us in the game every start. He was going 6 1/3, giving up 2-3 runs, and that's keeping you in ball games. The difference is we still can't. Well, there is no difference. We still can't score for the guy. I don't know what it is, why we can't put runs on the board. I mean, we got him the 2 runs, and then Toronto got it right back. It was like playing MLB The Show where it's scripted. Once you score, the other team scores. I don't know why we can't score for him. I was just like, once he comes out of the game, we're probably going to get a run at some point and win. That's just how it works when he pitches. I don't know what it is, why we're DeGromming him, but I mean, look, if we win the game, it's fine. I just, his win-loss record would look so much better if he just got some run support. But he's fine.
Win-loss doesn't really matter too much these days with the fact that DeGrom's won multiple Cy Youngs by having just like a 1 ERA, but like a bunch of losing seasons.
6 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a shame that we can't get him some wins, because even though win-loss is kind of a lost stat at this point, it's still nice to see that he would get the win because he deserved to win last night. He pitched well enough against a really good Blue Jay lineup. So
he pitched okay. He left a couple pitches up. He wasn't lights out, or he wasn't terrific. As I say, his location kind of started to deteriorate once we reached the 5th inning, and they were starting to make really solid contact on him. But yeah, for the first couple of innings, he was certainly right there. I would love to have him work with Andy Pettitte more, if he's not already done so, because I think he's got similar traits in which could be beneficial for him moving forward. Andy Pettitte had that beautiful cutter curveball combination that would dive in on righty batters. And I think that's something that he could stand, because he's very similar. If you see the way his wind up and his demeanor on the mound, he does kind of remind me of an Andy Pettitte light, but just without the stuff. So I would like to have him work with Andy Pettitte, I think, in the off season. I think that would be beneficial for him, because there was a time where during the game, which he gave up the first RBI single, I believe it was to Bichette. He set him up 3-1, and then he surprised Bichette by sneaking a fastball down the middle, and it was a 3-2 count at that point. And I was thinking to myself, right, this is the time to do an Andy Pettitte pitch, curveball, off-speed pitch, down and in on the batter, and instead he checked off and threw to the base, and I thought, oh no, he's gonna screw up this next pitch, because I needed him to concentrate fully on that at bat, and he didn't do it, and then he left that pitch up, and he left the hanger right there, and Bichette crushed it, and that's where I think he needs a little bit of work. I think someone like an Andy Pettitte, help him with his focus, help him with his location, because at the moment, because that batter, that runner did not matter. It was all about that batter. If you got that batter out, then that runner did not matter. But he kind of, instead of focusing on that 3-2 pitch, he checked off, and I thought, oh no, he's going to screw up this next pitch, and he did. It's just for me, there's certain things that kind of jump out at me that Montgomery needs to work on to make his stuff is even better. But listen, you can't argue with he had a 2.80 ERA going into this game, so his stuff is fine. He doesn't give you much length though, and he certainly doesn't blow you away. So his stuff needs to get better, but he's certainly a work in progress, and it's pretty good. I wouldn't blame the offense last night for not giving them the dub, because at the end of the day, it's very hard to win games against Toronto. Toronto are an excellent team. They are absolutely right with us, tied with us, or certainly close to us at the top of the division for a reason. So it was kind of incumbent on Montgomery to keep it at 2-zip. He didn't do it, so that's why I'm a little bit critical with him. But because his pitches did deteriorate as the game went on a little bit, so so my advice to him would be to hope that Brian Cashman gets him to work with Andy Pettitte, because I don't know if you guys agree, but he gives me an Andy Pettitte light vibe. But I'm not saying that he's anywhere near as good as Andy Pettitte ever was, but there's stuff there that can be worked on, I think, with I love his demeanor on the mound that Montgomery has, and his windup, which is deceptive, and that certainly helps. I just think he needs to tighten up on some of his off speed a little bit.
Yeah, no,
Well, it's better than the alternative. I mean, he could have blown up and given up, 4 or 5 runs to this Toronto lineup because that's how good they are, or they can be. On any given night, those guys can hit you for 7 runs in the blink of an eye. So I'll take that when he's not as good as he usually can be. He was off for maybe the last couple of innings, and he still was able to get you through 5 and giving up. He didn't walk anybody, which is nice because he's got that kind of pitcher arsenal that he can potentially walk some guys. 5 strikeouts, no walks, 6 hits. Again, that you'd like that to be a little less, but I'll take it. That means you're in a position to win the game, though. And if that's him when he's kind of struggling, it's better than what we've seen in the past where our starters, when they're really off, can get exploded and they're giving up 5, 6 runs and the game's out of reach early, because that could have happened last year. Last year's Yankees, we probably lose that game like 6-2.
yeah.
Well, I credit Loizaga more for the fact that the inning didn't blow up.
Well, it also goes to credit to Boone. He let Montgomery come out in the 6th, and it was probably one of those. All right, we're going to take it batter by batter. And as soon as I think it was Bichette again, hit that ball hard, and it was
I like
all
Bichette.
right, that's it, you're done. He didn't even hesitate.
Yeah. No, I really like Bichette. I think he's excellent.
That's what
Really good hitter.
it was. Bichette's turned into one of the. He's turning into a Yankee killer. I think he has a hit in almost every game he's played against us. So when you were talking about that at bat, Donald, I thought when he threw over, I didn't think that was a bad move. Because Bichette is so focused, you want to throw him off a little bit. You want to get him frustrated. So making him wait a little bit, may have, tripped him up a little. And maybe
But then it kind of tripped himself up because he
hung.
hung a pitch instead of focusing on
Well,
the
that's
location.
what it was. Yeah, Monty, he didn't deliver. But he didn't let the inning get away from him either. So you can look at it from both sides as a pro and a con. So, but I mean, I think Boone took him out right when he had to. Not like.
What about the Andy Pettitte comparison? Do you guys agree that
it
it would be good? Would you agree that it would be a good idea to have him work with Andy Pettitte?
Oh, absolutely. I think
he
any
already
lefty
had
that works with Andy Pettitte is a plus.
Yeah.
I think they already had Pettitte in camp before specifically to work with Montgomery because of the comparisons. They're like the same frame almost, and it's very eerie because he's wearing 47. It's just one different number, and it looks like Pettitte out there sometimes. And that's what we saw in his rookie year. He was really good his rookie year. People forget that. He was getting rookie of the year shout outs. And if it wasn't for Aaron Judge having the year he did in 2017, Montgomery was getting some look at rookie of the year. He was good. And then he got hurt the following year. People forget that. It really kind of derailed the early part of his career. This is what he is. He's going to give you 5, 6, maybe a little bit more, and he's going to keep you in the game. He's a solid pitcher. He's not a number 1. He's not maybe even a number 2, but you got to take what you can get from him. And when he's healthy, we're seeing a healthy Montgomery is just a really stable, solid arm to put in the middle of your rotation. And yeah, the comparisons to Andy Pettitte are actually spot on because he throws like Pettitte. He looks like Pettitte out there. He's got a pickoff move that's not nearly as good, but he still has a similar kind of style of pickoff move. And it's just because he's a lefty that we develop from our system, which we don't develop pitchers very well, as we know. So to see one of them be good and be from the left side, a tall, lanky, not throwing for velocity lefty, yeah, the comparisons to Pettitte are pretty much, they have to be. You have to compare them to Pettitte because they're just very similar in the way they throw.
That's the biggest compliment I could give to Montgomery. The fact that I can even slightly compare him to my favorite Yankee pitcher of all time, apart from El Duque, and David Cone is as big a compliment as I could possibly give the guy. So I rate him highly. I just think that there's certain things that he needs to some off-speed pitches he needs to tighten up a little bit just to make him that a little bit better. But it's right there. And the best example I could give of how you can rely on him was when the Yankees actually trusted him to make a playoff start, and he pitched really, really well. Remember that playoff start a couple of years ago where he was just really solid. He he just got out of really tough, tight jams. So it's a good sign moving forward. I think he is someone that you can rely on as a number 3, number 4, and give you solid 5 or 6 every single time. And as you say, as you guys both say, he kept us in the game and he keeps us in the game every 5 days. And that's all I can really ask for, because eventually your offense will do something for him.
No, I really think that, if he had, better run support, I think that's when you'll see Boone give him, all right, that one more batter. I think he'll let Montgomery try to figure it out, with obviously with somebody ready to back him up. But I think in a tight game like that, and the way that the games have been played tight, because he doesn't get the run support, it's hard to give him the length that we're expecting, that we want him to get, because, once he gets into that 5th, 6th inning is when he's starting to strain a little bit. So it just might be he's just a 5-inning pitcher. But if he's going to give us what he's been giving us, that's okay. As long, because eventually we're going to start getting better length from Cole and Severino. So by the time you get to the third guy in your rotation with Monty, you're going to have a more flexibility with your bullpen. So, it's, and also the length that you can get out of Nesta. You're going to see less use of less need of less urgency with the bullpen. That's how I'll put it. So this just might be what Monty is, and that's okay. It's sustainable.
So we haven't obviously been on over the weekend, and we had a very good weekend. The Yankees did. They kept on winning. So obviously, what were your thoughts on the close of the Royals series and Aaron Judge?
I mean, it's Judge is just he's Judge. It's he's he's playing out of his shoes right now. It's insane. It's almost like he's settling in where now in the early in the season with everything with the media about the contract and everything. I think for the first couple of series it was in his head, but now he's just like, you know what, I'm just going to play. And I'm just going to play to what I can. I'm going to show them what I can do. And for not, it's almost like he has a change in mentality where he's not playing for a contract; he's playing for his team, and it's actually resonating to everybody else. But the sweep of the Royals, it had to happen. You can't give away games against teams that are struggling. So they were able to sweep 3 straight series. They got the win yesterday to make it a straight 10. But I thought overall they played a really well played series over the weekend.
Yeah. I'll borrow a quote from MMA fighter Nick Diaz, whichever Diaz it is. He said, "I'm not surprised with Aaron Judge," because I wasn't surprised at all to see him go on this tear, because I wasn't worried at all. I know Donald felt the same way. We were not worried about Aaron Judge. He was the least of our concerns for those early season struggles, even though he was still hitting the ball. He just wasn't hitting power. And now he's right behind Rizzo for the league lead in home runs. In the blink of an eye, he's right there. That's what Aaron Judge is. He's going to go on one of those tears. He's on one of those tears right now where the ball is just flying off his bat. He's too good to even have any doubts about the player that he's going to be. So that does not surprise me at all that he's hitting. But that last game against Kansas City, we lose that game last year. We lose it because Boone's like, all right, we took the series. We fell behind. We're just going to kind of relax. And he even mentioned that in the post game. He's like, last year we probably approach it a little bit differently, whatever he said post-game quote. That tells me that this team is urgent. They're saying we need to win any game possible. And the fact that Cortez had probably his worst start of the year but still kept us in it, and I'm like, this game is still within reach, and it's against Kansas City. Next inning we get a couple of runs, we make it a 1-run game, and then we take the lead. Aaron Judge comes through again, and we win the game. We don't win that game last year. And we probably don't win that game last year. So that right there is telling me, especially in April or May, we don't win those games last year. So, yeah, I'm it's different. Everything just feels different with the way Boone's speaking, to the way he's managing, to the way the team's coming through late. It feels different. And I'm glad it's happening now, because like I said earlier, had we been laboring through the first month and we're 500, you're like, they're okay, but it's still the same issues from last year. But they're battling. This is what we saw during that winning streak last year, where they were doing things differently, but then the switch just went back off and they just went back to their old ways.
Mhm.
Keep it going. What's working right now is working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, there's nothing that needs fixing, just a couple of tweaks. You know what I mean? So it's working, and
This
I'm
is the
glad to
first.
see it.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen the Yankees play with urgency since the quote unquote savages in the box season, which is how I'll define the season, because they played with a lot of urgency that year, especially after that kind of rallying cry, I suppose. After that, they kind of played with a sense of urgency every single day, and I'm getting that vibe this year, and it's been minimum 2 years. Um, so without any urgency. So it's really good that they're approaching things differently, but also because they know they can't. They know they cannot afford to take series off, games off, because it's a 4-team division. At the moment, it looks like a 3-team division. Um, or even you could even go as far as a 2-team division between us and Toronto. But as I say, it's very, very early. You don't know. But I'll never count out Tampa Bay. Boston looked terrible, which is great. But the Yankees can't afford to take games off, so they're showing that sense of urgency, which is so important. Aaron Judge, that shot he hit off the scoreboard, 456 feet.
Oof. That's why it was like one of those. It looked like such a lazy swing, but that's just how effortless it is for him. You know, when he's in that rhythm and he has that focus, it just looked like such an effortless swing, and it just kept going. I was like, holy crap.
That was an unbelievable bomb, man. They blasted it off the scoreboard in dead center, and I didn't even see where the ball landed. It was that absolute crush. That was an unbelievable shot. But he did that all series, man. And then you saw some great at bats from Rizzo. Then we sat him, of course we do, because he's roasting hot. So that's what we're always going to do. But the two of them have been sensational, and Stanton's got a very quiet 7-game hitting streak. He's doing his job too. So, and then you've got LeMahieu, who's batting over 300, and you got Falafe at the bottom of the order, who's giving you hits and everything that you could possibly need at the bottom of the order. And then you got Gleyber Torres, who's coming up with clutch hits when needed. So, there's a different vibe this year. It was a good series, strong series.
You know, the best part is it's just the interaction with a lot of us fans. You know, you see it on social media. Just it's been a lot less fighting going on amongst ourselves. Yeah, and it's really been a lot of fun, even being on social media, which is, you know.
Well, that's the thing about fan bases, New York fan bases.
Well, right now it's
we can't all agree on everything, but we all want the same thing, and that's just the Yankees to do well, or whatever team you're rooting for to do.
They'll be fighting in a week when they lose their first game and the winning streak. They'll be fighting about something. That is the Boone I told you.
They're not going to win the rest of it. You know, they're not going to win the rest of the games this year. They're going to lose a game. You know, let's you got to be realistic. You know, but
exactly.
I do want to shout out a couple of groups.
Mike King. Let's shout out to Mike King. He was amazing. This series.
He's
disgusting. How did he not win? How did he not win AL reliever of the week? Or the month even?
I should have won it. Yeah, I don't know how he pitched all those innings, no runs. And I told you, Bobby Tats, you keep this guy in the bullpen, because you were saying he can get a spot start. No. You keep this guy in the bullpen.
You were right.
Keep him in that damn bullpen. He is too good. We got him from Garrett Cooper and Caleb Smith. That is a Brian Cashman steal. So there you go again, Mr. Cashman. Your ego just shot up even higher through the roof.
I'd like to bring his ego down a little bit, though. I didn't love sending Clark Schmidt down. Clark Schmidt was upset about that. He said he was completely blindsided by that. he said when Aaron Boone told him that he was sent down, he was speechless. He didn't know what to say because his numbers have been fantastic. He's not giving up a run,
But wasn't he sent
and
down to be stretched out? To maintain his length.
well, yeah, that's certainly one argument you can
Yeah.
make, but it's kind of tough on the guy after how well he's pitched. It's difficult to then tell him that he's kind of part of a roster crunch move. But I agree that he's a starter moving forward, and I want the Yankees to make a firm decision on him. I don't want them to start mixing and matching as to oh, you know what, we need a reliever, so you're going to come back and be a reliever again. Oh no, you're going to stretch out.
Yeah,
you need to make a firm decision on the guy. So if this is a decision that they've made to stretch him out to be a starter, then they need to stick with it.
But commit to
and eventually make him a starter because he's got everything that you could want in a starter. I think that he's got very good stuff, and I think he should be. I think he should be in the rotation pretty soon. Moving forward, I actually like his stuff better than Tyon. I'll even say that. I think he's got some. I think since he's come back from his injury, he's a different pitcher. So I'm just kind of disappointed for him because that'll be tough for him to take, especially after his previous outing where he pitched another scoreless inning and looking great doing it, to then just be told, "See you later." It's tough. It's tough. And then the same for Andujar, who we're not playing Gallo right now because he's hurt. Andujar gets his first start and is slamming the ball all over the place. Has a big part to do with that win that we had in that game that he played. To then send him down as well, again, it's tough for the guy.
Sorry, yeah, but they couldn't find it. They couldn't, it looked like they were struggling to figure out how they were going to use him in a starting lineup. And if you're just going to have him on the bench, just let him go down to AAA and get consistent at bats. Because having him Russ on the bench isn't serving him any purpose.
Yeah, the thing with Schmidt, it's just there was really nobody else they could have sent down. They're not going to send down Loizaga, even though he's kind of struggled early. They're not sending down Green or Chapman, obviously. Litke.
Well, maybe Castro.
Castro's been really
he's been really good.
Talking about, he's been really good. I mean, you're not going to
1 ERA.
Yeah, except for
that's the problem. They're all pitching so well. It's like, all right, who's the odd man out?
That's why it had to be Clark Schmidt because at the end of the day, he's a starting pitcher. We said it. We don't want him. This is what I kind of feared was that he was going to pitch really, really well out of the bullpen, and then we're going to have to send him down. And you're going to be like, why are you doing that? But you knew when the roster went back to 26 that they were going to have to do that. Somebody had to go. And that's always what the case is going to be. Someone who's playing well has to go down because you're not going to send down, like I said, Clay Holmes or anybody else in this bullpen. The whole bullpen's been really freaking good. Even Chapman, has been really good. So,
Chapman does have a 0 ERA.
Yeah, but he's also still walking.
But, I mean, I think he probably leads the league and walks as a closer.
Me, arguably, Licky's been the weakest link in our bullpen.
Licky's been having a rough go.
Licky and Loizaga have kind of struggled out of the gates here, but again, you're not sending them down because Clark Schmidt's been good for a handful of innings, and I like Clark Schmidt a lot, but again, he's a starter, so you have to let him start, and I would love to see him stay in the bullpen, but I also want him to be in the rotation in the future. So I think it's a smart move. It sucks for him because he's pitching well, but I also want him to be in the rotation.
Test for his mental strength, though, because Clint Frazier didn't handle being demoted well at all in order to get regular games down in AAA. It affected him mentally, and he never came back. Now, I'm not going to say that's the same with Clark Schmidt, but it does take some mental strength because you're part of something that's special going on right now. The Yankees are top of the division, winning every single game, and you're actually legitimately a part of it. You're doing your job, and it's to then, you're feeling great. You come back from the clubhouse, you've pitched well, you're part of a dub. then your manager calls you into the office and tells you that you're being sent down and demoted to minor league ball. It's a kick in the teeth. So it's not like a computer game, but these are human beings, and so it's. I hope that he has the mental strength to go. Listen, this is for the best for me moving forward. But it's gonna be a test for him, because if the Yankees kind of keep doing that to him, you might see a different picture than you're seeing right now. And that's not what we want. So, because everyone's different, man. Clint Frazier didn't handle the demotions well, and he always came back slightly broken. So they need to be kind of smart with Schmidt, not screw him up. Don't do it.
Well, Clint Frazier didn't help himself either, going crying to the media all the time. Always, Clint Frazier acted like that kid that was never told no. Or never told that he never lost in life. He was always a winner. And it's that's the result of that kind of mentality, where Schmidt just seems like he's got a little more professionalism in him.
Yeah, but he wasn't hurt by that.
Let's see how it resonates when he does get the call back to help out this team. If he's able to pick up where he left off, then we've got something going here.
I'm just reading between the lines. He was quite clearly disappointed by being demoted.
I get that. No, anybody would be. Yeah. But when he gets he will be back with this club up. At some point this year, he's got to keep himself. He's got to be able to get that into his head. And not let this demoralize him. You could be upset about it, but don't let it throw your role off track.
I think he'll be fine. I think they allowed, even though the roster's back at 26, there's no minimum pitchers, but I think because Gallo's hurt and they don't want to put him on the IL yet, we have to have that extra batter, even though we're still carrying a 3-man bench. So that's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But again, there's just no. I'm looking at the bullpen now. Even Litke lately, his ERA's dropped. So he's been back to his normal self. Peralta's not going anywhere. King, obviously, you're not sending him down. He's been electric. There's really nobody you can move. I mean, Schmidt was almost a guaranteed move. Had someone like Castro just been terrible, you probably do what the Mets just did with Cano and DFA him, say, look, it was a mistake, and you let him go. But the fact that everybody has been really, really good, the guy has options, you have to send him down. It's just unfortunate that it had to be when he was pitching as well as he was. But I think he'll come back as a starter, hopefully, and he'll be just fine.
Would you not have carried Andujar another couple of days just to rest Gallo? Because there's no rush having Gallo.
I would have IL'd Gallo.
If Gallo goes on the IL, they can bring Andujar right back.
Yeah, they probably should. If they're not going to play him like 3 days, if he doesn't play today, they probably should do it. But I think because it's a 15-day IL again and no longer 10.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's no longer 10.
I think that's the rule that changed. I don't know. I think it went back to 15-day. I'm not sure. I'm hoping if I can.
If it was 10, I would have done it, man. Because
I think
retroactive.
Yeah.
I would have done that anyway. To be honest, it probably would have done him some good, just to get a bit of a break mentally from things. And Duhar looked fine, man, offensively. But
that's not the problem. It's finding him a position.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the hiccup with Andujar. Which is why I'd rather seeing him in a position, on a level where he can play every day than sit on the bench. Because if you do need to make a move mid-season, you want to at least bring his stock up a little bit. And if you're able to do that, then take it, use the opportunities you can.
They probably want to give Marwin Gonzalez increased at bats or LaCastro, and I can't blame them for doing that because Marwin Gonzalez looks good in his limited number of appearances.
I almost forget he's on the team.
I know he's been really productive whenever he plays. He's been good, and same with LaCastro.
Yep. I mean, it's
so the rule changes took place up until May 2nd. So now it's 15 days. I think prior to May 2nd, it was you can put someone on the 10-day with the extended roster. But now, since it went back to 26, It's
It's
a
15?
15-day.
Okay.
But that's
I knew
probably
there
why.
was something really tricky with it. With the date.
Although they could probably just make it retroactive since Gallo hasn't played. If they set him on the
Yeah.
IL, he only be out for like the next 12, 11 days. So
Yeah.
they could do it if it's still nagging and it is a groin. But we all know as dudes how much that can hurt. So let's just hope he's okay. I don't know. If he misses again the next couple of days, just IL him. Like don't have a 2-man bench.
No.
No. All right. Let's just hope that tonight they keep the win streak going. Let's make it number 11. And
Tats, you have some shout outs? You have some shout outs?
Oh, I do want to give some shout outs. I want to shout out our friend Blake Kincaid, who set some records for his college team. He's been a guest on our show, and he's really, really great kid. But he has the single season strikeout record of 76 strikeouts in a season. The Midway University Eagles baseball team for college. And really, congratulations to him. Really good kid. He's somebody that on the college level should be getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I think
he's got a bright future ahead of him.
He's a name we're going to be hearing in a few years. I really believe that.
Yeah, we got to get him on again.
Yeah, really good kid. So we just wanted to congratulate him on the record.
Congratulations, bro.
It was a really nice surprise to see the message come through about it. So congratulations, Blake. Keep it up. We'll see you on the Yankee Pinstripe soon. So that's going to wrap things up for us today. Just remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social media in the description. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place. Wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.